Hey y'all, my Riacom here again. Just gonna right out of the gate say I apologize. I really tried to do a uh a video recording and it is just not my day today. Having a kind of bad mental health day today. It's blizzardy outside and that just when we have enough like bad winter days in a row, it just kind of gets hard to be happy with life. And I'm already not very happy with life because my life is not going in any way the way I want it to go. So just makes it kind of tough. So and when it's like blizzardy and it's gloomy and um pleh, gloomy and windy and snow just flying everywhere and stuff. It's just hard to work up the energy to do stuff when you are already depressed. So, but anyway, so yeah, I tried a few times to get a video recording and it just is not going to happen today. I'm not feeling super happy about the way I look. I don't have the energy to make myself look better or nicer. So, just not going to happen today. Maybe later, I guess. I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, it's whatever. Since I can't think of a whole lot to talk about, that's fun. I am gonna talk about the weather. And maybe that's annoying and stupid, but we'll just call it a little bit of story time. Woohoo. So, the weather is crappy. It's very annoying. It is like blizzarding. It's windy. I don't know if it is currently snowing, but there is like a lot of it snowed earlier, it snowed overnight, so there is snow that is blowing around. Just it might be snowing right now too. It's hard to tell. It's cloudy enough it could be, but anyway. So, I don't know how many of you listening live in a place that experiences blizzards. And like we get blizzards fairly regularly. When I say fairly regularly, I mean we usually get multiple blizzards of varying severity every winter. Like, it would be a weird winter if we didn't get a blizzard of some kind. So it's pretty common around here. We haven't gotten a lot of snow this year, so mostly when it has been kind of blizzardy, it hasn't necessarily been an issue of having a lot of snow. It's more an issue of just whatever snow is there blowing around a lot and causing a lot of visibility issues. And that also causes issues with, like, when it's very windy and there is snow, etc. You get issues of iciness. This year we've also had like a lot of melting and refreezing, so there's been a lot of iciness associated with that as well, which then makes traveling difficult. Even just driving around town can be tough. I saw a couple of articles in the paper this morning. I say in the paper like I read a physical paper. I do not. I can't afford to subscribe to a physical paper. But I saw a couple of like articles online from the newspaper, the local newspapers, talking about some pretty bad crashes that have happened around town this morning. I'm sure there have been more throughout the day. On Friday, on my way home from work, there was someone who almost hit multiple vehicles because they were not able to control their own vehicle very well. Just kind of crazy stuff, but, whatever. What do you do? So, the point being, blizzards are not very fun. And like today, now the sun is starting to kind of force its way through the clouds a little bit, and that's kind of nice. but it's still cloudy. Like, the sun is behind a bunch of clouds right now, so that's wild and annoying. But when you get into blizzardy kind of weather, it gets gloomy. Travel is difficult because of both visibility and iciness. And then you get issues with, like, uh, if you are like me and you live in a house or you live in a duplex or a townhouse or something where you are responsible for doing your own shoveling, you have to go out in the weather. And you have to do that sometimes regardless of whether it is still blizzarding or not. Like, it has been incredibly windy and very gusty all day, and I can't just not go out and shovel. Like, just have to do that sometimes. And so lots of bundling up. So preparing to even go outside just takes a little bit of extra time. And then once you're out there, not only does shoveling require energy, but the wind and cold itself takes a lot more out of you, especially when it's like, I think last I checked, the temperature was 2 degrees above 0 Fahrenheit, but with wind chill, it's something like 12 below. I don't even know if that's accurate, because I haven't checked that in a while, but the last time I checked, it was something like 12 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, with wind chill. And, I mean, you feel that when you're outside. Even if you are completely bundled up and, like, just your eyes are free or something, you can still feel it. It still gets through whatever you're wearing. I was wearing 3 pairs of socks inside my snow boots, and my toes still got cold. Because I was wearing 3 pairs of socks, they did not get frostbitten, but that has been happening lately if I don't wear that many pairs of socks, so... and my fingers, I was wearing 2 pairs of gloves, like a pair of insulated winter gloves, and then underneath that I was wearing, like, a smaller pair of gloves, but, extra gloves. And my fingers still got incredibly cold, almost to the point of frostbite. And I was only outside for, like, half an hour shoveling. So, I mean, you feel it. You really do feel it when it's that cold. And it just feels insane to be talking about this, because the other night I heard someone I went to college with, who I had not known had done this, went to Antarctica for a year and was a chef in Antarctica for a year, and he was talking about his experience, and, like, he was talking about the cold there, and I was just like, wow, I think it's cold here. Everyone thinks it's cold here, but it's nothing like Antarctica. Can't even imagine. But, yeah, I mean, you can feel it. It's just a little bit insane. And it gets frustrating because you get to a point where you're like, okay, either now I have to choose to go inside and warm up a little bit, and then come back out and finish doing what I'm doing, or just work through the pain of your fingers starting to freeze, and, just get the shoveling done, and then go inside and stay there forever. You can't stay there forever, usually. You have to actually do it. You have to actually go back outside, but yeah, I was out there for like half an hour, and it felt like forever, and by the time I got inside, I was like, holy crap, is it time for bed yet? And it was in the morning, so it was not time for bed yet. Yeah, it is just wild. I have lived in this kind of weather pretty much my whole life. When I lived in Ohio for grad school, it was not quite as bad. It wasn't as cold, for sure. And, yeah. I would say they don't always get as much snow in Ohio as we do here, but what I am trying to talk about is, like, blizzardy weather and how annoying it is. If you don't have a garage, there are quite a few people in my neighborhood who either do not have garages or do not park their vehicles in their garages, I guess because their garages are just full of storage, which I don't think people understand what the purpose of a garage is, but that's fine. I am lucky enough to have a garage. That was one thing that I was like a definitely must have when I got my house. So, and I'm very glad about that. The longer I live here. Like, there are a lot of things about my house I don't love, but that is one thing. I don't even love my garage. My garage is not good. It is in not very good condition, but um yeah. It's not in very good condition, but at least I have one to keep my car in when the weather is this terrible. So, hurrah. So the weather just kind of sucks. And this is a thing. If you don't have a garage, your car might not even start when you get out to it when it's this cold and terrible. The wind doesn't help. The wind is another thing where, like, it gets through the crevices of your car and gets to your engine and your oil and all of that. And if it's too cold, then you're just SOL sometimes. Unless you have an engine built for it. Which, up here where I live, a lot of the places around here are going to be selling batteries that are built for the cold. But there's also only so much you can do, because you can't, like, just completely ignore the laws of nature and the laws of physics. So, yeah. But yeah. And the sun has disappeared again, which is not shocking. When it's this windy and the sun peeks through the clouds, it's just not going to last forever. It's just not how it's going to be. So, oh, yeah. But yeah, so the sun is gone again, which means it's gotten gloomy again, and it is snowing. The wind has died down a little bit, so now I can tell it is actually snowing. It's not snowing a lot. It's very, very light. But how much there is doesn't really matter when in these kinds of conditions, because the minute the wind picks up, it picks up all of the loose snow on the ground. So anything that's not, like, packed down, it kind of gets picked up in the wind. So it gets to be really bad. And yeah, another thing about this kind of weather is when it gets really gusty. The wind, not only, like, if you're outside, can you feel it and hear, and, like, all of that, you can hear it, and even when you're inside, you can hear it, and it does get into your house, too. It, like, when the wind is this bad, it will find ways to get into your house. It finds the crevices, and it gets in, and it just makes it colder, even if you've got heat on, like, well, it just affects a lot of things, and the sound of it is something that's, like, it's hard for me to describe. It sounds very harsh, and it sounds very oppressive. Not even, like, when it is picking things up and you hear things like branches smashing into the ground, or branches hitting your roof, or whatever. Hopefully that doesn't happen too much, knock on wood. But, like, even just hearing the wind itself, it sounds like a beast. It sounds very harsh and oppressive and dangerous and angry. And yeah. It's just one of the things about living alone in my own house. I didn't feel this as much when I lived in an apartment and lived alone, but living alone in my own house, it just feels like so much worse to be in this kind of weather. Now, am I worried that anything is going to happen to me in my house? No, not necessarily. I mean, it could. A lot of my neighbors' trees have a lot of old branches on them. Neighbors on both sides of my house. They have trees that have a lot of old branches on them that are, like, every time it gets windy like this, especially in the winter when things are more brittle and all of that, I get worried that, you know, uh, especially the one neighbor to the north, they're like dead tree branches are over top of the power lines that come to my house. So in weather like this, I do get a little bit worried about that. Especially because like my heat is all electric and I don't have a backup generator or anything like that. I've thought about the fact that maybe I should invest in that. I just don't have the money for it. I can't. I'll figure it out at some point. But anyway, so I do worry about that sometimes, but especially now that I don't have a cat, I could just, if that does happen, like call the electric company and be like, hey, yo, this happened, and then go to my sister and brother-in-law's and stay there. I mean, it would suck in terms of, like, my house would just be cold then until they can fix it, but, I would think that would be something they would fix quickly. And it shouldn't be something that's my fault, but I don't know how that works. There are probably rules I would have to look up about that. But anyway, yeah. The bigger issue is that it just feels more oppressive in this kind of weather when you live alone and you have no one else around you. And I mean, it's a little bit better in this day and age when there are ways to get out if you have to, but because travel is so dangerous in this kind of weather, even in a car, and even if you are used to this sort of weather, these sort of conditions, even if you are used to it, you can't be guaranteed that anyone else out there driving around you is used to it. And that's what I worry about most of the time is like, there are other people on the road, even though there shouldn't be on a day like today. But there are people, I mean, I've seen people driving around all day in all kinds of vehicles. And I just keep thinking, like, I know what I'm doing in this weather, but not everybody else does. And even if you know what you're doing, there are still situations where something can go awry. So not only does it, like, feel oppressive because it is cold outside, the cold kind of seeps into your house. It's icy. The wind feels oppressive if you're outside. It sounds oppressive if you're just hearing it. But also you're kind of trapped. Like, you shouldn't go out traveling. You shouldn't get in your car and go drive anywhere unless you have to. And it just, yeah, you feel kind of trapped. Even if you have to go outside, it takes so much out of you energy-wise, just to be in the cold, because your body is struggling to stay warm. So it's working harder just maintaining a, like, normal temperature. And, yeah. It just feels so oppressive. You kind of feel like you're trapped. Going out in this weather takes more out of you, and it's just, I don't know. The more blizzards like this we have, at my last job, I was working from home at the end, and, yeah, so I didn't think about it as much. It was like, cool, I don't have to worry about the weather anymore. I mean, you still have to, but I don't have to go out in the weather anymore. So, like, I can go get groceries at a time that before a blizzard happens or whatever. That's one thing. I was going to get groceries today and I did not do that this morning because the weather was bad. So, fortunately, tomorrow is a holiday, so I can try and do it tomorrow. But anyway, so, like, when I was at my old job, I didn't think about it as much. But now I have to think about it more because I have to go to an office to work now. And, like, on Friday, the weather was not the best. It was not blizzarding, technically, but it was not the best still. And I Still had to get to work. And I did, and it was fine, but like I said, I saw a couple of almost accidents on the way home on Friday. And that just, it makes me nervous. I don't think I should have to put my life at risk to get to work, but also, like, there's too much to do and I can't just call out because the weather's bad. If my work thinks that that they should be open. That's the thing. There are too many things because we live in a world built on we live in a society, I should say, built on profits, where that is the end all be all and making money is the important thing. Then the safety of employees is usually not like top priority. So I was kind of hoping it would be different and better at a university than it was at a corporate job, but nah, not really. There have been a few times in the past couple of winters where I've really thought that they should have closed and they didn't, so. I mean, there was a day really early on in my career at this university where my boss's boss, because my boss didn't exist yet, my boss's boss and I had to travel for a meeting. And it's one of those things where we probably shouldn't have. We probably should have found a way to do a virtual meeting or something, but that's not what we did. We went there physically, and we were driving on the interstate, which at the time the speed limit on the interstate was 75 miles per hour. And the roads were not good. It was very icy. And the visibility was bad. It was stormy. And we were driving 25 miles per hour most of the way there. So it was a long, stressful trip. I'm glad I was doing it with someone else. If I had had to do it myself, I wouldn't have done it. I would have done it virtually or something. I was like brand new though, so I couldn't make that choice. But yeah. I was hoping that would be better working at a university. And I just think about it in terms of like before, back when like most people who lived where I live in the Midwest, back when most of them were like farming and doing their own thing on their own property or whatever. Even if you had like small towns and stuff where people went to work and stuff like that, people wouldn't be going out in this weather. Ranchers would if they had like livestock to take care of, but like, schools would have closed. Like, schoolhouses would have closed. They wouldn't have had school. People wouldn't have been going to work in the same way we are now. Grocery stores would not be open on days like this. Restaurants wouldn't be open back in the day. Because, you know what? Safety was more important. People not getting, like, stuck in a terrible situation on their way to work was more of a priority. It was... People cared more about whether they and their employees were safe than they did about making money. At the very least, I can say I have not seen anyone ordering groceries or food today so far. I mean, it could still happen this evening, and it would drive me nuts, but, like, because that's another thing, too, that nowadays people will do that. They'll be like, oh, well, I don't want to go out to get groceries, but I'll just order them. But then you're putting someone else's life at risk in bad weather. How about you just wait to get groceries? Like, I normally get groceries on Sundays, but I'm not gonna do it today. And I'm not gonna make someone else bring them to me in bad weather. I'm not that selfish, so. But yeah. So, like I already suffer from depression on a regular basis, and I don't necessarily have it like worse in the winter most of the time. There are people who suffer from seasonal depression, and it's like worse at this time of year. Um, I don't have seasonal depression. I have chronic all the time depression. Yay me. Um, but it's not usually like worse in the winter for me, but on days like this, it kind of is. And it's getting worse. Like it's getting visibility has significantly reduced just while I've been doing this recording. Um as I stand here looking out my living room window, creeping on people. No, I'm just like watching the weather really, but I don't know if I can get a good picture that would show what it's like. I don't think I really can. I can try, but I don't think I really can. Without getting cold, and I don't really want to go outside and get cold. Again, because I already did when I shoveled earlier. I'm gonna try and shovel tomorrow again. I'm gonna wait. Tomorrow is not supposed to be as windy, so I'm gonna wait until then, but yeah. It has just not been a great day, and I don't know how much of that is because of the weather and how much of it is because, like, the world just kind of sucks and my life kind of sucks. But the weather is definitely a major factor today, at least, because it just, I don't know. There's like looking outside in the winter and seeing bright, fresh, sparkly snow, but on a day where you can see the sun and the sun is shining and it's not currently snowing and, there's no wind and everything just looks like nice and pristine and beautiful. And today is not that kind of day. Today is more of a not only does the air itself want to kill you because it is cold, it is supposed to be much colder later this week, and I'm not looking forward to that. But not only does just the air itself want to kill you because it is cold, and if you breathe too much, it will probably hurt you. But also there is wind and there is snow, and sometimes when there is light snow, it's almost worse because then if you're out there and a big gust picks up, then it's like little tiny needles piercing your face because that's what it feels like. And the wind is strong enough to like blow a hat off your head if you don't have it secured some way. And then there's ice on the ground, so with strong winds it could actually like make you slide and maybe kick your feet up from under you. It's just not a fun kind of day. And I don't know. I feel like it would be a little bit different if I didn't live alone. At least I would have someone else here to share in the misery of being stuck in your house, but it's whatever. I am gonna try and get out a little bit more once it is not windy. So even though this week is supposed to be super cold, I'm going to try and get out a little more and see if that helps. I don't know if it will. We will see. But anyway, this has been a lot of rambling. I was trying to stay on track and talk about the oppressiveness of blizzard conditions. Yeah. I don't know if I did a good job, but you can let me know if I did an okay job or not. And, yeah, I am going to make an effort. I need to give myself a little grace because it's just too hard to try and do a video recording when I feel so crappy about life. But I'm going to make an effort to do one soon. I'm just not going to put a deadline on it, and I apologize for that because it's not very effective without a deadline, but we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll just try and do something really short, like an actual short instead of a regular full video. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. Hope you enjoyed my rambling. If you didn't, that's also fine. It was kind of not as not as cohesive as I wanted it to be, but that is life. This has been my Riacom talking about blizzards, and I will try and chat at you again soon. Bye.